Tamara Bennett from Southern Adoornments Decor. How are you? I love this because Janita's like, hey, everybody, does anybody know what she's painting today? You know what? I didn't actually know what I was painting today. That's how it goes sometimes. You know, like I failed to plan ahead, so therefore I had to come up with something. But you know what? I'm actually it was like a happy accident because I found this snowman cutout. Let me just flip it over so you can see it better on my white table. And I'm going to be painting this today. I've already primed it white on the other side. This was just one that I had laying around. It has no etching on it. So for those of you who are having to cut your own blanks at home and you don't have the possibility of etching them, this is a fun way to show you how to take a blank with no etching and modify it just a bit. So go ahead and if first thing you're going to do is prime it white. Now, you guys know if you watch all of my videos that I don't always prime my blanks. Okay, somebody said my mic is not working. Is it? Can you guys hear me? Say yes if you can hear me. I'm waiting. There's a bit of a delay. Okay, somebody said turn the mic on. Okay, everybody's saying they can. Okay, so there must have just been one or two people that couldn't hear me. If that's you, I want you to like close out your Facebook app and come back because sometimes like Facebook's weird. You got to like close the video and reopen it. Okay, good. We're good. So let's continue. What was I saying? As you guys know, I don't ever prime my blanks unless there's going to be a lot of white on them. And since this is a snowman, you know, this whole area down here is going to remain white. So I went ahead and painted it white. And this area up here is actually going to be painted, but I wasn't sure where I wanted the hat to start and stop. I know it'll be right about here, but I wasn't sure exactly how. So I'm like, I'll just prime the whole thing. So I actually did 2 coats from there down of white, and then everything else is just 1 coat. And all the paints that I'm going to be using today are the Decor Americana matte acrylics, for those of you who are interested. This particular bottle came from the Hobby Lobby. And this is the 8-ounce bottle. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Hobby Lobby does sell these large 8-ounce size bottles. I actually prefer these over the little tiny bottles just because it's easier for me to tell when I'm running low on a certain color. Whereas if I have multiple bottles of one of these little ones, it's hard to keep track. But how are you guys? Have y'all had a good weekend? Cindy says, I can't wait to see this. I love and collect snowmen. And is the template available for this one? Yes. So we do have a template available for this one that does have the etching and everything on it for the hat and for the face. Now, let me show you something. Let me flip this over so you can see it better. I have a stencil that I'm going to show you guys how to use too. So perhaps you want to put a snowman face on a door hanger or maybe a yard sign or something like that, and you don't know how to draw a snowman face. I have this little snowman face here. You can do it either way. It's a stencil. You can buy these stencils in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. But if you have a Cricut or a Silhouette machine, you can actually buy this material. It's called Mylar. You can get it in 5 or 7 millimeter Mylar and cut your own stencils. I actually cut this stencil just a little while ago using the cut file that we have for sale in our shop. And so I'm going to be showing you how to use the stencil today. Hello, Doris. Darla says you're home from work. Welcome, Darla. Okay. Dennis says, first daytime live I've been able to catch. So I'm here live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. That is at least, God willing, that is the plan of when I will be here on Tuesdays. So if you don't want to miss me every Tuesday or Fridays at 9:30 a.m. On Fridays, I don't paint. I share 5 of my favorite things with you guys. It's called Friday Fab 5. So if you don't want to miss it, be sure and text me at the number that you see on the screen. Go ahead and screenshot it if you want to, and then we're going to get started. I'm going to remove that from the screen so it won't be in the way. Okay, any other questions before we get going? So yes, the template's available for this one. The blank is available for this one. And then you can get the blank etched or not etched. Now, depending on how you want to paint it, you may not want the face to look exactly like the face that's etched on the blanks in our shop. Or you may not want to use this stencil. So if that's up to you, if you don't want to, you can just order the one with no etching. Okay, let's take this off so you guys can see everything. Yay, there we go. Hi, Jennifer from Florence, Alabama. You love and collect. I love snowmen too. I do have lots of snowmen up around my house at Christmas time. But lately, my main thing I'm decorating with are the little red Christmas trucks. I have a lot of those. And it's funny because my husband didn't even notice until I had like 15 of them. And he's like, you know, you got a lot of red trucks around here. I'm like, well, honey, that's my theme. Have you not caught on? Men aren't that observant with things like that. Although he likes to think he's very observant. Okay, so since this has been primed white, and normally if something's not etched, I would draw out my like lines with a piece of white chalk. White chalk's obviously not going to show up on here. So I've got green chalk today. So I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that. Oh, you can kind of see it. But I'm going to actually think instead of doing a straight line across here, I think I may make this sort of bumpy. Let me find where it starts and where it ends right there. I'm going to make it kind of fluffy, like a fluffy hat. There we go. So there's where my hat starts and stops. And then my face stencil will be right down here. Okay. All right. Let's begin. Actually, you know what? I don't think hang on. I'm having second thoughts. Let me get my baby wipe out. I don't like the hat band. It's too straight for me. So I'm going to erase this and redo it. It felt off. So hang on. Okay, so I'm thinking I want it, and it's easier if I can place my stencil here to kind of visualize. I think I want my hat to kind of come down a little bit more, which that's not much more, is it? No, it's not. Here's the creative process and work, y'all. I want it to come, there we go, just a little bit more like it's swooping downward. So then the top is going to swoop downward just a little bit as well. See, that's got a bit of a curve to it. I think that's what I want. That way his little face is down here and it's curving down toward his face. Hello, Janet from Alabama. How are you? Kelly says, do you know a good video that helps with stencils with the Cricut? I just got mine and would be able to cut my own stencil. Okay, so Kelly, I actually, for the longest time, used the old Cricut. I got it in 2009, if that tells you anything. And I recently got one of the new Cricut Air Explorer 2. Well, it works with the Cricut Design Space app on your phone. So if you buy the stencil or the stencil cut file from us, you would just upload that as a file into the Cricut Design Space. You would add it to the screen, adjust the sizing. This one is about 8 inches by 7 inches. And of course, if you wanted it bigger or smaller, whatever. And then it's going to actually walk you through every single step. The only thing you need to make sure you do is select the material. So make sure you select Mylar, M-Y-L-A-R, as your cutting material, and you can't go wrong. The only thing I changed, I think, was I dialed the pressure setting up just a little bit, but it multi-cut 2 times because that's what it usually does for Mylar. Cricut already has all of its own settings, and it came out perfect. Like, I was shocked, like how fast that it cut out and it came out perfect. Okay, Lori said, I bought your Dumbo template and it wasn't outlined at all. I'm not as talented as you are. So, Lori, the new elephant that's supposed to look like Dumbo template has been reworked to include all of the inner lines. So you may go in there and re-download the file, and you should get the updated version when you do that. Even though you don't have to purchase it again, by the way, just re-download it. Okay, so since my snowman's face is already painted white, let's just start with his hat. The colors that I've chosen are really like bright and girly. So we're going to start with this color called Bright Magenta, and I'm just using a flat tip brush, and we're going to paint this entire hat portion here bright magenta. So I'm just going to follow my little chalk lines and go around these little swoops. Watching from Loganville, Georgia with your 5-month-old. Oh, Laura, is there anything more precious than holding a baby that age? I just love holding sleeping babies too. That there's something so relaxing about that. It like makes your blood pressure lower. And a lot of times, if my kids or any baby that I was holding in church fell asleep, I would start to fall asleep during church because I would get like so relaxed at the sound of their breathing. There's just something about it. It's very calming. But Charlie was not that kind of kid. She did not sleep during church. I think she only fell asleep during church on 2 occasions in her entire life, because we actually got those photograph of those because it was so unusual. I was holding her in the nursery and one of them rocking her, and I have a picture of me and her and she's asleep, and it was like the only time that had ever happened. So I just couldn't get that child to sleep through church. She was afraid she was going to miss something. She still is afraid she's going to miss something all the time. I think she thinks when she goes to school that I stay home and I do fun stuff without her. Which right now I am doing something fun. I'm painting live with you guys. Okay, so now that I've got it all covered, to avoid having any streaks in my paint, I'm going to pick up a little bit of extra paint and just do some really long strokes right across the main middle part here. And see, this almost makes it to where you almost don't have to do a second coat. And then I'm going to do some long strokes going up this way on the sides. And then kind of smooth it out. So this is just kind of how I avoid odd paintbrush strokes. Do you have to have a different blade? Chris, it cut with the fine cut blade. So no, I mean, I think you can use a deep cut blade. If you did, then you probably wouldn't have to like do a multi-cut function on it, but I only use the fine cut blade. Sonia says Charlie is so cute. Thank you. She's a mess. Danielle from Australia, welcome. I'm in Kentucky in the United States. Both of your girls are the exact way. Always alert, can't miss anything. Yeah, and before my kids go to bed, especially Charlie, she always wants to know, what are we doing tomorrow? And then what are we doing after that? And then what's after that? But if my mom's watching right now, she can probably testify that I was the same exact way as a kid. As soon as I would finish or while I was still eating lunch, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? I always have to have something to look forward to. Okay, so next we're gonna while that's drying, we're gonna go ahead and paint the hat and the hat band, and I'm using a color called Sea Aqua. I love how this color looks with pink, so I thought it would be a nice girly. We're gonna have a girly looking snowman today. This would actually match Charlie's bedroom quite well. On the video, it's looking a little darker than it actually is in person, so I'll hold it up in a minute so you can kind of see the true color. Something about the lighting in here makes it to where sometimes my colors don't look quite like they do in person. I need to figure out how I can mount my ring light to the ceiling. And again, I'm using the same exact brush. It's just a little flat tip brush. It's about, 3/4 of an inch wide, maybe. I like it because I can work quickly. That's part of the reason why I'm able to paint so quickly. It's because these brushes can hold quite a bit of paint, and so see, I can paint a pretty good size area with just a couple strokes. Don't worry too much if your paint doesn't match up, like, when you're coming up next to another color, just you can, and then when we go back later and add outlines and things like that, we can hide those sort of things. It's kind of like adding your coloring book lines. Uh-oh, hang on. What is going on here? I just realized you guys couldn't hear a word I was just saying. My phone ran an update and all of a sudden it dropped the video feed. So a lot of you guys are always asking how I do 2 camera angles. This is how. I have an old iPhone that I don't use to make calls on anymore. I just use it for video. And I use a program called StreamYard. And so through StreamYard, I am able to invite myself as a guest. And then I can open up the link on this next device as if I'm coming on as a guest speaker. Turn on the camera. Like that. Okay, are we back? Everybody can still hear me? Okay, good. Somebody said no sound is out, so it should be back now. My phone ran an update. Hot Mess Express here. Somebody said, what brushes are you using? These are some brushes that we have in my shop. They have blue handles. They come in a variety of sizes. You get there's 10 of them. You get some that are round tip, some that are flat tip, some that are filbert. So it's a good variety pack. I think the only thing that's not included in this brush pack is angle tip brushes. But you can get those at shopdoorhangers.com. Michelle said your hair looks like it's getting thicker. So actually my hair has been thinning like crazy, and I think it's just been stress during COVID, but I figured out some really good like voluming products. And so it looks voluminous, and I figured out like some better strategies for styling it. So that's part of the reason, but actually my hair is very much thinner than it used to be. Michelle said, I'm also wondering what's the best iPad to purchase to be able to use Procreate. You guys may be able to answer this in the comments if you use Procreate, but I believe you can now use Procreate on any of the iPads. Originally, you could only use it like on the iPad Pro or something, but I think you can use it on any of them now. I have the iPad Pro, and it's the 13.9 inch whatever, and I like that size. It feels like, you know, like a drawing pad notebook. But I don't think you would have to get that one now because the iPad Pro is quite a bit more expensive. But at the time, you could only use Procreate on iPad Pro, so that was why I bought the Pro. Okay, so now our hat and our band are all painted. So while all that's drying, because we're going to go back and add some little zhuzhing to make it cute, let me show you how to use the stencil. So if you're just now hopping on, these stencils are available in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. Or you can actually use the cut file to cut this on your Cricut or your Silhouette. Okay. Now, even if you don't have Mylar, you could cut it out of cardstock and it could be like a one-time use stencil. Okay. Somebody said, will you be doing Procreate classes? No, unfortunately, that's not something I'm ever interested in teaching, but there are other people out there who teach Procreate. Do you have to buy Procreate? Yes, Procreate, I think the app is $9.99, worth every penny. Okay. So let's go ahead. Hang on. Let me see. I need a sponge brush for this. You can either use sponge pouncers like these, but these are great for polka dots. I don't recommend necessarily using these to do this kind of stencil. So, excuse me. Instead, we're going to be using like these old, cheap, triangular makeup brushes. Okay? Or sponges, not brushes. And then I'm going to start by doing the little apples of the cheeks first. First, get your, whoops, hold on. I got it too close to the hat band and then transferred some paint onto the stencil. I don't want to make a mess. Get this positioned how you want it. I think I want it relatively high, like the eyebrows, almost up under the thing, so that I've got room to do like, you know, wiggly lines and stuff down here. So his face, I'm going to get it closer up underneath this. So I'm going to do the apples of the cheeks first. I'm using a color called Cotton Candy. It's a really, really light pink color. You're going to get a little bit, hold on. Let me just use a foam paper plate. And I'm just going to dab, dab, dab to get so that I don't have any dripping or excess on here. I'm going to hold, you can tape this down too, but I was worried about it lifting up paint. So I'm just going to hold it with my hands and quickly dab to get those cheeks. Okay. Try not to shift it at all. Get a little bit more paint, dab it off on my paper plate. And the paint is going on very, very thin. That's what you want. You don't want it going on thick enough that it's going to blot underneath the edge of your stencil. Let me show you up close. See how thin that is? It almost looks like it's dry already. And so if you need to do a second coat, you can. Let me go back over here, do just a little bit more. There's a couple spots that were a little thin right here. And done. I'm done with that color. So I'm actually, since I'm done with that color, just going to cut off the end of this and use this piece again. Now I'm going to do the nose. So the color for the nose that I'm using is called Canyon Orange. Do that come in ornament size? Oh, Helen, yes. So this is actually a 20-inch size snowman head, but you could also get this in 12, 8, or 6-inch. So if you wanted to do an ornament, a 6-inch or an 8-inch would be good, depending on what size ornament you want. You just signed up for Painters Clubhouse. What templates do you recommend to start with as an intermediate student? Oh, Patty, just pick one that's got just a little bit more detail to it, probably. That's what I would say. So we're going to get our Canyon Orange and then just dab inside the nose. Now this is probably going to take a couple of coats because see how thin that is? It's real splotchy looking. And I almost dabbed off too much paint on my foam plate. So I'm just going to keep doing it in layers, pick up a little bit more. But that may have to dry for a second. Let me do it with the hairdryer. It's important to hold your stencil still while hair drying. Yes, I do use the same brushes that's on my website. Thank you, Sheila. I love my glasses too. They allow me to see your comments. I don't normally need glasses unless I'm staring at a computer screen. Okay, one more coat of orange on that nose. There we go. And then let me clip this off. Fresh sponge. We're going to do the eyes. Get some black. And the eyebrows too. And the mouth. Actually, all that's going to be black. Do you guys use stencils much at home? I don't use them hardly ever anymore, but I did when I was a beginner painter. I used them a lot. And they're actually quite fun. Now that I'm doing this, I'm like, oh, I miss using stencils. It's reminding me how much I enjoyed adding pattern and stuff like that. And there's something about like when you pull the stencil up, having that sense of satisfaction. It's like, ah, that looks so cool. Okay, I'm going to get as close as I can to the apple of the cheek, but I'm not going to go up onto the cheek because we're going to use a brush to kind of create a little smile on top of the cheek. We're going to freehand that part. Do you have any tips or tricks for cleaning your brushes? Yes, Shelby, I would recommend getting some Murphy's oil soap and mixing it with water about half and half and soaking your brushes for just a few minutes or probably about 30 minutes or so in that, and then scrub them against like a little brush cleaning thingy. You can actually get really cheap little rubber makeup brush cleaners at the Dollar Tree, and they work great for your paintbrushes too. Okay, so our eyes, it looks like a hot mess when I look up at the screen. That's funny. Okay, I'm just going to set that to the side. You ready for the reveal? Ta-da! Cute. So it's not exactly perfect. I'm going to be honest. Let me show you. I got a little bit too heavy with my paint on the mouth. So see how the mouth and the eyes are just a wee bit fuzzy? But that's okay. We're going to go back and fix that. Okay. Let me go ahead and dry it so that I don't mess anything up. Essential stencils are the best. Renda, I have heard a lot about them, but I have not tried any of theirs. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, I'm going to get a round tip brush and some black paint. And then I'm just going to carefully try to smooth out the edge of that smile line that was a little fuzzy. You could also do this with a Posca paint pen if you weren't confident at doing this with a brush. So how many of you guys have decorated for Christmas yet? I haven't yet, just because we're going to be having my husband's family and my nieces here for Thanksgiving. And so I don't want it to feel like Christmas instead of Thanksgiving. So I'm waiting until after Thanksgiving. You just bought some Decor paint. You have, oh, Decor's the best, Jennifer. Okay, so here we are. We're going to take this smile line up just a little bit. I'm just going to drag that same line up about a 1/4 inch or so onto the cheeks. Okay, and then you're going to push your brush down and drag it toward the center, and you're going to make like a Y. Actually, that looks terrible. Hold up. Getting my baby wipe. I'm going to fix that. Hang on. It didn't look, I remember I remembered how I wanted it to look, and I was like, that ain't right. So don't laugh. Don't laugh at me. Hold on. This is what we get when we're not using an etched design. Tamara goes rogue and has to come up with it off the cuff. Okay, so baby wipe to the rescue. All right, this is what I wanted right here, not a Y. I wanted more of like a little soft. That's what I had in mind. Let's do it on this side. Ta-da! How cute. You always wait until after Thanksgiving, one holiday at a time. Yes, Dana. And I always think about, like, I don't want to like look back at my pictures and think, was that Thanksgiving or was that Christmas? Because if the tree's up, then it feels like it's Christmas photos, not Thanksgiving. Thank you, Gloria. She says, I love it. Cassie says, all I have left to do is put out my gingerbread houses in Village. I bought gingerbread houses at Walmart yesterday for my kids to paint. We're going to do that sometime soon. Okay, now I'm just going to put a little white highlight, like for the eyes. Really simple. Just make a little line. And then I may do just a little bit on the nose. And then on the tops of the cheeks. Okay, let's go back and make the hat fancy, shall we? So I was kind of thinking it might be cool to do like a unconventional leopard print look on the hat. So let's take a little bit of this cotton candy color that we used for the apples of the cheeks and add some of this bright magenta to it to kind of make an in-between shade of pink. Let's see what we get. Let me add just a little bit more. We're mixing colors. So I wanted kind of like a pink on pink leopard print. What kind of face does the etched one have? The etched face on the blank is the same as this one. So if you're buying the etched blank, you would not need the stencil. Oh, I love this. Hang on, I got to share this comment. Sheila said, joining your fall challenge got me all started crafting again. I haven't stopped since. I'm loving life again crafting. I had put it away for years. I have heard that from so many women, Sheila, just like you, who had put crafting away because they were a mom or they'd gone back to work or whatever, and they hadn't picked it up in years. And I got them to get their brushes and their paints back out again, and I love that. I feel like we all need a little bit of crafting in our lives. It's a good stress reliever. It's a good, like, confidence booster. It makes you feel like you're doing something productive, even though it's something fun, and you have something physical to show for it afterwards. Jennifer says, day after Christmas, I put my tree. Wait, me too. Day after Christmas, I put my tree. This year is my birthday. I'm confused. What do you mean? Re-explain, please. Can you see the etching after you paint over it? Yes, you can, Hunter. Just barely. I mean, once you get the entire thing painted with all the designs, you're not going to notice it nearly as much. But like if you painted over it with white, you would still be able to see the lines so that you can paint the other details. Okay, we've got our in-between color. Now I'm just going to do some fun little wiggly, like leopard print circles. So these don't have to, if you've got a shaky hand, it's ideal for this. We're just gonna, and I'm gonna try not to make them too small. I should have made them just a wee bit bigger. So I'm gonna get a little bigger as I go out. We're not gonna do any color in the middle of them either. So this is just kind of a fun, modern, like pink on pink leopard print. Let me know what you think about it. And I'm just using a round tip brush to do this. And I'm just kind of wiggling my hand in a C shape, going back. See how I'm doing them all different directions to create a pattern. To me, the more funky some of them look, the better it looks. So if some of them are a little skinnier than others or a little wobblier, it's totally fine. And they can be different sizes too. Like here, we'll put a little one right here. And then a big one here. And then maybe like an edge of one there. Let's see. Jennifer said, my mom passed in June. Crafting is the one thing that takes my mind off her being gone. I'm so sorry about your mom, Jennifer, but I'm glad that crafting has been therapeutic for you. Sheila has set up her own studio. She said, I invite friends and neighbors over all the time now, and we teach and craft together. What a great way to stay connected. So yes, so usually at Thanksgiving, I get my family together, and all the women in the family paint something. It's lots of fun. Debbie said, I do diamond dots and have done some beautiful ones, and I'm now looking to try painting. What are diamond dots? Is that like where it's kind of like paint by number, but you put the dots in a certain pattern? That sounds like fun. Beverly did the challenge. Awesome. And she said, I've been a member since April. It's her second painting. She's loving it. She wasn't fitting in she said, I just wasn't fitting in life before now. My mother passing in September, and I'm recovering from surgeries. I was so happy to see the end results of my snowman. Beverly, when you sent me that picture of that snowman through text, it was so cute. I was so proud of you. Bravo. Okay. I think now I'm about ready to just add the finishing touches, and we're going to do that with a Posca pen. So let me dry this. Oh, okay. I got you now, Jennifer. She said you put your tree up every year. This year, it just happens to be your birthday. Well, happy birthday early, Jennifer, if it's not happened yet. Okay, so this is the Posca paint pen I'm going to be using. It's actually the large bullet tip. This is size 7M. So the pack that we have linked in our Amazon affiliate shop, they come with 6 pens, 3 black and 3 white, and the sizes are 3, 5, and 7M. So this is the largest one, the black. And since this is like a less detail, sometimes I paint something on here that's got a lot of details. This one's pretty simple, right? Since I'm doing this really simple one, I'm going to use this large bullet tip to outline things, and it will kind of add just a little bit more detail to it. So if you're a beginner painter, this is a great way to sort of add more detail without having to freehand a lot of stuff. I'm going to work on this area down here first because some of that is still very wet up there. And see, this is where I was talking about we can cover up some of our mistakes with our paint pen. So if you accidentally, got out of the line or something like that, you can fix it by covering it up. Okay, I got a little bit of pink paint that wasn't dry on my pen. Let me wipe it off. I'm also going to prime my pen a little bit and get some more ink going. So now I'm going to go down and around the face. See how thick that line is? It's nice. Ta-da! And then we can do some up here on the hat. And if you wanted to do a wiggly line instead, you could do that too. This is just a simple outline. Whoops, I got a little too off the edge there and got it thinner than I wanted. Okay, so now it's all outlined. And now you could go back with a white paint pen if you want to. I'm just going to use a round tip brush and add just a few white highlights to kind of make a few of the other things pop. Carol said, I did some painting on my snowman today and accidentally stuck my elbow in the paint. Well, Carol, at least it wasn't your belly, because when I was 8 months pregnant, I started this business and I stuck my big pregnant belly right in a plate of black paint because I was reaching across the table and I didn't even know it when I stood up. The plate was stuck to the bottom of my pregnant belly. It almost ruined my shirt. It was quite funny. The ladies at the paint party saw it and were like, oh So I'm just going to get a little bit of white paint on my round tip brush and add just a few fun squiggly like highlights and things to kind of just brighten this up. Make it look just a little bit more alive. You could even do some little squigglies in the middle of this to make it look more fluffy. Just be free with it, however you want to do it. I've already done some down here. Oh, I did want to add a little bit of black to my the nose. So I'm going to switch to the skinniest black paint pen and kind of outline this nose a little bit and add some intentional like little bumps into the carrot. There we go. It gave some definition to the nose. So here you have it. How cute is that? Let me take off this second camera angle here. All right, now I can show you all the colors. Look how much brighter it is in person versus that overhead camera angle. It looked a lot darker in that, didn't it? Meg said, how do you keep your lines so perfect? Just propping my hand on the table helps a lot, but those Posca paint pens are the bomb. So if you don't have any, have your one of your family members get you some for Christmas. By the way, we put out a gift guide for the beginner painter. And so if you want to check it out, go to southern-adoornmentsdecor.com/blog. There's an entire blog post about the gift guide for beginner painters. We are going to have 2 more gift guides coming out soon, one for the advanced painter and one for the painting business owner. So keep an eye out for those coming up soon. I'm going to be painting live again next Tuesday. So if you don't want to miss that, be sure and text me right here. Also, send me pictures of your door hangers after you get them painted. I love seeing your photos in my texting app. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. Where do I get my paint pens from? They're from Amazon. So if you want to get any of the things we were talking about today, whether it's the paint pens or the stencil or any of that, say the word link. It'll send it to your Facebook Messenger. Now, if you're watching from inside of YouTube, you'll just have to click the links in the video description to get those. But thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. And don't forget to sprinkle the love. See you again next time.